9.7 million. That's the number of consumers in the United States who bought and used some form of plant-based meat substitute in the year 2020. And while many of these consumers understand that products sold by companies such as Incognito and Beyond Meat contain no form of real meat, according to a survey conducted by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, nearly 1/3 of today's customers believe that plant-based products contain some form of real meat. How can we expect trust from our consumers with confusion like this in our markets? The answer is simple: we can't. As a result, the sales of both plant and real products are going to suffer. So how do we solve this problem? By stopping the continued usage of misleading labels. The US government has dealt with misleading and shady labels for over 100 years. During the Spanish-American War, a company by the name of Armour & Co. supplied the army with tons of rotten canned beef. This beef had a visible layer of boric acid, which was meant to be a preservative at the time, but was really just used to mask the stench of the meat. President Theodore Roosevelt testified he would have rather eaten his hat than eat the beef that was contained inside. During his presidency in 1906, Roosevelt passed a bill known as the Meat Inspection Act. This bill prevents the sale of mislabeled and adulterated meat and requires that the USDA inspect all meat before and after slaughter to ensure quality and that the meat is handled under sanitary conditions. In 1966, a bill was passed by the name of the Fair Packing and Labeling Act. This act ensures that all labels are honest and informative and is enforced by the FDA. In 1990, nutritional labels became a requirement for every food product sold, whether foreign or domestic. This bill, known as the Nutritional Labeling and Education Act, also based nutritional facts on serving size rather than the size of the package that was being sold. It set nationwide standards for sales across every state, which eased the labeling burden for companies selling across multiple states. This bill also defined the difference between butter, margarine, and spread, or jellies, jams, and preserves. As we can see, throughout our past, important labeling is key to keeping our people healthy. We can't allow misleading labels to keep deceiving our people. But however, before we talk about where fake meats are today, we should talk about where they came from. The very first known meat substitute was tofu, and it was invented in China during the Han Dynasty. And while the recipe for tofu is ancient, it is still an extremely popular food today. In 1896, a man by the name of John Harvey Kellogg invented a meatless meat, which we know of as cereal. He pushed cereal as an alternative to meat and egg-heavy breakfasts. In 1933, Loma Linda Foods was founded. This was one of the first companies to sell wheat and soy-based meat substitute products. Loma Linda still continues to sell fake meats today using names like Tender Bits, Swiss Steaks, Prime Steaks, Tuna and Mayo, and more. In 1981, a man by the name of Paul Winter invented the first veggie burger by shaping his leftover vegetables and rice pilaf into a patty and advertising it as a garden burger in his restaurant, The Garden House. Today, however, veggie burgers are made from things such as beans, mushrooms, corn, and even nuts. Fake meats have even begun to take over holidays. In 1996, a tofurkey was invented, and while it only saw 500 sales that year, by 2013, that number had grown to over 3 million. Today, our love for fake meat has grown, but do people truly know what they're buying? After all, many labels used by companies such as Incognito and Beyond Meat contain the words beef and chicken, and at a glance, that can easily be confusing as to what the real product being sold here is. If you can't trust what you are buying, are you going to spend money on it? No, you aren't, and neither is anyone else in the United States. After all, when you look at a package of what looks like ground beef, and it has the words beef and burger on it, and it has a cow on it, aren't you going to think that's a beef burger? What about a package with the words chicken and meat on it, and it's got a picture of a chicken? You're probably going to think that's chicken. Again, at a glance, which is about the most amount of time that American consumers spend staring at a product while shopping, this can look like real meat. We need to stop this continued mislabeling of fake meats. Texas is one of the first states to take action against this issue by passing HB 316, aka the Texas Meat and Imitation Foods Act. This bill blocks companies that are not selling real meat from using words such as beef, chicken, pork, meat, and any common variation. These companies blocked won't be able to use the listed words for describing the texture of the meat, the way that it cooks, or the flavors it's meant to imitate. This is a huge step in clearing up the confusion surrounding our markets and rebuilding our trust and reliability that our consumers once had on our producers. As you can tell, important labeling has always been important to America, and we need to regain our trust with our people. If we wish to regain that trust, though, other states must follow in the steps of Texas and block these companies from confusing our consumers. Thank you.